So what are these competencies? There's 6 of them. The first one is intercultural and global understanding. So we are not just UNCG students, even though that's, awesome, but we're also, maybe we're living here in Greensboro, so we're members of the Greensboro community. Maybe also we're residents of North Carolina right now. Maybe, we're US citizens, and we're definitely humans on planet Earth. So understanding that all these things are related, and that there are different cultures that believe different things and do things a little different, people that do things a little different, and kind of understanding and respecting that. The next one here on the right-hand corner is interpersonal skill and intrapersonal competence. So that's a mouthful too. Basically what that's about is kind of understanding and knowing yourself, starting with you, and being personally accountable, and developing your skills, work habits, student habits, that kind of thing, but then also relating and being accountable and responsible when you're connecting with other people. So being respectful when you go to events, even if you don't understand, not being rude because it doesn't make sense to you. And then maybe figuring out like, okay, what should I not do in this environment? That kind of thing. So connecting and relating to other people is that intra part. Next is civic literacy and social responsibility, right here in the middle on the left-hand side. That one is about critical thinking, thinking about like being civically involved is kind of like going and voting, getting involved in the political policies and structures, and just being knowledgeable, and also understanding that the ways that the laws and policies in the world or in North Carolina or just at UNCG impact you may not be the same as it impacts other people. And that's cool, but it's sometimes hard to notice and realize until you start talking to people that are different than you. And so, yeah, that's what that last one says. Seek the knowledge, skills, and attitudes needed to work effectively in a diverse society. So just knowing that people are different than you and trying to understand like, oh, well, how does, that impact you? If I vote for this thing, or if I'm in favor of this, does that hurt some other people? And just being aware of that. Next, over here on the right-hand side is leadership and ethical development. So being a leader is learning about how to problem solve, be an effective communicator. So being able to communicate maybe by verbally or written or, non-verbally, other ways to listen and communicate well with other people. Being aware of who you are and your strengths and weaknesses and working on those weaknesses, because we all have them. And I think being a good leader is about knowing what your weaknesses are, but also what your strengths are. And then finding other people that have different strengths than you so that you guys can team up and be like, okay, now we're a great team because we have people that are different. Yeah. Last one here on the left-hand side is career, professional, and financial development. So a lot of times in school, we talk about like your day-to-day classes and you want to make good grades, and you want to like turn in assignments, and all of that's good. But also be thinking about like, how is school preparing you for life after school? Because unfortunately, as much as we love you, you won't be here at UNCG forever. You're going to be going off into a career, or whatever your next plans are after school. So thinking about how what you're doing right now can impact your career and your professional skills, as well as financial skills is really important, because everything impacts everything else in some kind of way. So even like managing your time and goals and planning, time management is still something you're going to use after school. I'm sure it's something that the people around you are talking about a lot. Self-advocate for opportunities in the workplace. Sometimes we have to sort of root for ourselves and tell other people why we should, get that promotion, or be doing something a little bit different than what people are asking us to do. I know in a previous job that I had, sometimes the place that I was at wanted me to do things that were not a part of my job description. And so having to say, hey, I really appreciate and understand that you need this done, but I think that you could use my time more wisely by doing these other things. And here's why. And that's what that advocating part is about. Being able to identify and talk about the skills, strengths, knowledge, and experiences relevant to career goals. So again, even talking about that basketball game, how can you talk about that basketball game that you went to, or the several that you went to, whether you were a player or you were just a attendant, you went and saw it. How can you talk about what you learned from that and how it can impact you in the future? Maybe if you were doing it, you learned some skills. Maybe if you were a participant and you watched, you learned to catch things, and you learned to understand what good sportsmanship looks like on the field. You could be able to tell when, hey, those two players are not being good sports right now on the field, and this is what that teaches me about how I'm going to be a good sport, that kind of thing. All right, and last but not least, over here in the right-hand corner, health and wellness. So understanding and figuring out what health and wellness looks like for you. This is a lifelong skill. It's a lifelong journey. And what you might find out is that your health and wellness plan right now could look different than it does in a year. It might look different in 4 years. But it's figuring out how to take care of yourself so that you can be the best you, and show up and be present in the classroom and also outside of the classroom. Learning to develop resilience. That's a big, great word. Thinking about how you can cope with disappointment and challenges in life. Sometimes school is a place of a lot of challenges. You've got homework, you've got projects, you've got class, you've got things to do, places to be, and at the same time, it's hard to schedule and put in all that fun stuff that you might want to be doing. And so trying to find a balance. Talk about how you're feeling. Check in with other people in your life and hear how they're feeling, because connecting and being a part of a community can sometimes help your own health and wellness. Thinking about your personal choices. Are you going to bed at a reasonable hour so that you can feel good? I know sometimes I'm not. And then I don't feel so good the next day. But it's about knowing that and then figuring out what works best for you. And then applying that to your career, or applying that to how you talk to other people. It's all interconnected, and I think that's why I'm so excited about it. In my next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how all this relates to, and you can track this in your Spartan Connect account, because you might be going and doing activities on campus, and they may ask you to swipe your Spartan card. And when they're doing that, they're sort of tracking your attendance. And all of that shows up in Spartan Connect. So in my next video, we're going to talk about the co-curricular transcript in Spartan Connect and how to figure out your strengths on Spartan Connect and your areas of growth, so that you can have an awesome co-curricular transcript. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.